Oh, you watching the Comedy Plug on Pharcyde TV. Booming. What it do, party people? You know what it is. You hear the voice, you know what the sound. It's I, the speech guy, Tony Asar, A-S-A-R, coming from the land of sugar free. So you know it's nothing sweet, but everything's nice. And we got a brand new episode of the Comedy Plug for you, baby. And you know what it is, what we do. But if you knew, here it is. We play a little cuts, a little bass. I got a little slappers from the pie, and of course, you know we got the ha-has, and it wouldn't be the Comedy Plug if I didn't bring a homie with me. But without further ado, real quick, one time, shout out R.I.P. to Jack Knight, a young talent that we all lost. Ooh, it's sad to see the young ones go, but we gotta rock it with the flow. You're welcome with Ilsa Mara and Restrepo coming from the pod. Ooh, and you know where you heard it at, baby. The Comedy Plug. Yeah, baby. Thank you for tuning in over here to the Comedy Plug. We play them slappers, them bass, them slices from the pie, and of course the ha-has. But this wouldn't just be the Comedy Plug if I didn't bring a homie with me. And the next cat I got, he came on a flight. He's fresh off and his wings ain't tired. This man got a lot in the engine to go, and he's a veteran. So without further ado, allow the person to introduce himself. Go ahead and tell the people what your name is.
Joe Hill in the building. What up, Tone?
What up, G? How's it going? Hey, you came in through looking shiny, looking crisp.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it.
Egyptian gold is in the building.
Let me tell you something. If anything, if you need another calling in life, you could be the Snaggletooth character from, I don't know, Disney's Hey Baby. How y'all doing out there in Radio Land? Just real smooth with it, bro. Oh, you got that.
Thank you, YG. Thank you. But you came in from the Bay, Berkeley, right? But that's not where you're originally from, right?
No, originally from New York, born and raised, Bronx, New York, stand up.
Okay.
So, represent for the East Coast.
Real quick, I'm a Cali cat, been in SoCal my whole life. I traveled, I've seen the world and whatnot, but I haven't been to the Bronx. I haven't been to New York. So what's the atmosphere in the Bronx like, especially growing up in the area that you came up in?
Oh, man, let me tell you something. Growing up in the Bronx as a kid, and I'm an 80s baby. Those 80s babies that's listening or can relate. New York City, that was... come on, 80s, late 80s hip hop, you know what I'm saying? The culture was just thriving, whether it was rap, music, arts, finding yourself as a kid, and whatever it was, sports, I played a lot of sports coming up. But the Bronx, I mean, some of the most talented artists come from the Bronx.
And wasn't even Mike Tyson? Is Mike Tyson from the Bronx?
Mike Tyson not from the Bronx. I think he's from Brooklyn. I want to say it like.
Oh, I thought he was like the Bronx Bomber.
No. That's not him. That's another.
Oh, who that? Let me not get the history.
I mean, the
Shout
Bomber.
to the Bronx.
Yeah. I mean, we got other artists. We got come on, J-Lo. Come on, Cardi B.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I could go on a few more, but I mean, there's some special talent coming out of the Bronx every day.
Again, like with so much culture coming from, what is it specifically about the Bronx? Because it's the 5 boroughs of New York, correct? From my understanding.
Yeah, correct.
But what is it about the Bronx that bred the type of artists and athletes that came from that area? What was that environment like growing up? That like even you are in the arts, my G. Yeah. So it's got to be something in the water.
We gotta ask our mamas what's in the water, and those daddies that wasn't around. But I mean, like honestly, I don't know. It's that city is gritty, you know, filled with so many. It's like a melting pot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All these different cultures. You got Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? You got the Latinos, the Latinas. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You got the whites. You got the blacks in there. But it's just culture. So I would say, you know, more than anything, growing up around. You know, I mean, I'm Jamaican descent, so you know, my father being Jamaican, having the Caribbean culture in the Bronx was love. But then again, like I said, that Hispanic culture was heavy. So you get the best of both worlds, I would say, in the Bronx coming up when I was a kid, and still do to this day. So,
okay, it's not going through that whole gentrification thing.
I mean, there's parts of the Bronx I will say, especially when you're coming from Harlem and you're coming over to that east part of the Bronx, but. I don't know, you know, South Bronx is still lit, you know, North Bronx is still dope. Shout out to all my Parkchester people. But no, it's I mean, pandemic has affected it. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of that type of vibe, we're coming back around when I say, you know, the city itself, because a lot of things got shut down, new businesses got brought in, you know, so that's kind of the vibe right now. And
so is that where you started comedy out in New York City in Bronx, or just New York overall?
Yeah, New York generally. But it's funny, I didn't start out doing comedy, and a lot of people that know me know that I was an educator for many years, about 16 years on the Board of Education.
Okay.
Yep. So a dean of students. Oh, I know, right? When I walked in here, you're like, now I can see it. He's tall. So I was doing that, and you know, in the Lower East Side, the Bronx, Harlem, and then when the pandemic hit, I know for a fact that was a moment for a lot of us as artists, because I'm not the only one that, you know, worked a full-time job, but still did our passions at night. So comedy was still there, but I wasn't doing it full-time because I'm trying to balance life. You know, I'm a dad, so I got the family. So for me, it was trying to balance it and find myself in comedy, but New York was the dopest place to start comedy to this day.
And I hear that a lot, but what is it about the atmosphere that makes it better?
You know, it's all right. It's like LA, meaning you would see a lot of people, a lot of celebrities, a lot of famous people all the time. But something about New York versus LA is like you could be on the stage with anybody, and I'm talking. Not just opening up. You can be on a featured show. You could be on a headline show. And New York is the mecca of comedy. I would say, you know, a lot of people move from the West Coast to the East Coast. It's rare that you find people nowadays saying, I want to go to LA, because, you know, things have changed out here, you know, over the years. But no, New York scene is dope. You see everybody in one night. That's the best way to, like, anybody you've been trying to see a comic, you're going to see them on the scene, because that's how much of a community is. So many shows, and you're going to bump into everybody being down there.
Okay, real quick. I want to jump back to go forward, bro.
Sure.
So we can't just skip over the fact you were a dean.
Right.
Like, so what is the hardest part of that job? And specifically, what is the dean, that title?
Okay.
It's not the principal.
It's not the principal. I didn't get paid like the principal.
It's not a superintendent.
Not a superintendent. You're too high. You're going high. We're like in between the guidance counselor, and the principal or the assistant principal, so to speak. And you know, a dean is somebody that, you know, is kind of like the liaison between positive and negative behavior situations. So whether it's me coaching sports or helping out on a positive front versus me doing parent conferences and suspensions and, you know, checking on you, making sure you're doing, you know, making sure you're improving, or if you are slipping, make sure you get back to where you need to be. So people hear that loose term D and you're like, oh.
I ain't gonna lie either. It made me clench over like, ooh, this the man.
It's somebody else in the school, whether it's a female, because there are a lot of female great beings where you can lean on them and go to them. Or, and when there's an issue, that's a person on the administrative side that you can go to and have in your corner. So, yeah.
And what was some of the toughest aspects of that job? Since you are pretty much the voice of the school. Right. That's what it sounds like.
Yes, definitely entrenched in the culture from the day-to-day stuff. I think the toughest part, and this is going to sound not crazy, but the adults. Because when I say the adults, because the kids, we expect them to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. We expect them to come in rough around the edges. But, a lot of the clashes sometimes would be with adults and other staff. And it's like, we're here for the kids. You know what I'm saying? But again, I mean, that's a small percentage of the thing that, but a lot of the experiences were great being around the kids and inspiring them and being able to connect with them because, again, I'm not that much older, even at that time when I was in my 20s than them. So being that, I literally just did what you're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like not too far ago, but you get what I mean. I was there not too long ago. So connecting with the kids was dope.
I used to have someone tell me this famous saying that was older than me, and I'm telling younger cats now. I've been your age before. You been mine?
Not yet. You're like, you right. You right, Mr. Hill. You right.
But so obviously, you're doing a good job as a dean. But what was it about the comedy life that made you? Because even though you're doing this positive work and great work, you were still like, nah, this ain't for me. I have to do the stand-up. What was it about that?
So, funny story. 2008, I was on a date in New York City, and I was working at the time, and we went to a comedy show down on 8th Street, for those that know, Lower East Side Manhattan. And I'm in this comedy club, and I'm like, damn, like, this is dope, like hosting the show, like the vibe of it, bringing people together. And I always would do that in live music sector of shows, but never in comedy. So it went from producing once a month to fast forward. Now you're doing it at premier clubs like the Comic Strip, Broadway Comedy Club, Caroline's. Yeah. And then you find yourself, all right, I got to really, like dig in on this, writing more, finding myself to fast forward to, been doing it for almost 15 years now,
Yeah. Longevity in both.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. Like, really, it's like you meet people who do things for long, but you don't meet long veterans, if that makes sense.
And I'm still, this ain't nothing. Like, 15 years is still like, there's people that say, I've been here 30, 40 years.
True.
Hey, so I'm still feeling like I'm just scratching the surface. I'm getting comfortable on stage. And even though that sounds crazy, but like, the longer you get, the more comfortable you will feel on stage and finding yourself. So.
That is facts. That is facts. Like I've done it half the time, but like I'm not as, I guess you could say, rehearsed on stage as year one. Like, this is a joke. Here's a setup. This is a punchline.
Yeah, I know. Because you don't want to get up there and be like an act.
Yeah.
Be like I'm an act.
Which a lot of people kind of tend to do it off the rip. Yeah.
But a lot of different styles, and they say styles make fights in sports, but it's the same way in comedy. Everybody has their own style. Some are more energetic, some are more physical, some are more intellectual, some are more valleys and peaks and ups and downs, and some of them just punch you up. Then they got the earthquakes of the world. They just punch you up. The Capones of the world. They just punch you up all night, and you're like, dang. So it's so many different styles, and that's what makes comedy so unique. Everybody's got their own style.
So being 15 years in, what would be the top three, I guess, advice you would give to someone just coming in?
You mean comedian or like,
as a comedian?
Oh, a comedian. I would say advice to any new comedians is learn everything of the business. And when I say that, I know that sounds like a lot to just throw in, but like it's almost like an artist, how a record label would move for you back then. It's different now. Everything is independent. So as a comedian, learning all the business side and, because I think it's easier to be funny on stage, but it's more letters in business than it is word show.
True.
That's my advice. Learn all sides of it.
How do you dissect what to learn first? Because this thing is a blanket of tears.
It is. I think the first thing is funny. I think that's the most important. True. Finding your funny, establishing your content. Because then once you get a handle of that, and when I say finding your funny, from 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, and working up to an hour. But as you're doing that, learn the business side as well. And when I say the business side, do you have a website? Presentation is everything. If somebody wants to book you, how are they going to be able to find you? They don't want to click multiple links. They want to go to one-stop shop, and you got to update that. So you have to invest in it once you find your funny, or along the way, continue to invest in yourself. Learn who's who. Relationships matter. Find out. I mean, there's a million comedy clubs in every city. Find out who's the booker and reach out to them. Yes, you're going to get no's, but that's part of the process. Yeah. They got to see your face to tell you no, to give you the opportunity for you to do your thing, for you to get the yes. So learn who's who, and don't wait for anything to be given to you. Really go out there and learn everything, because it's a fair game. It's enough for everybody to eat out here, to be honest.
Honestly, man, your last note, I think, is the most key note. Of course, the funny, but the most key is you don't have to wait nowadays.
You don't.
There's so many apps. There's so many programs. You can literally get a Zoom recorder type mic to go to your iPhone or your Android.
Social media technology has given us the avenue to now. You're your own television to the world. So.
Your own network.
Even better.
Pretty much. Yeah. You started 15 years ago, pre-technology and whatnot. Was it easy for you to start bracing the new wave, I guess you could say, of comedy with, the IG videos, the TikToks,
it's a lot,
Snapchats, it's not, me personally, it's a lot of different non-representations of comedy. Not hating. People out there doing their thing, million followers. But from what I view, it's a lot of voiceovers of material that has already been proven.
Yep.
So it's like
repurposed content. I agree.
And I know we're supposed to still call them comics and comedians because they're in the definition, being funny. But in the art form, it's kind of like, I know it's getting the likes and views, but what is this, bro?
So I agree with you, because that's how I felt about TikTok and Snapchat. Like, what am I like? But then you kind of see it you take a step back and you give yourself the perspective, like, okay, even if I'm just on here being consistent, that's going to expand my network
instantly.
So I was against TikTok, and I'm gonna be honest. To all my people out there on TikTok, I wish I would have started like a year ago, not to be a TikTok, but just to be consistent in anything you do. You gonna have, and those followers lead to conversions, and those people buy tickets. Now, if they could see you being funny on a 30-second clip, whether it's a reaction, whether it's a repurposed video, and you're like, yo, dude, whatever you're putting out there, you're consistent and it's true to who you are, I believe that actually gives you another platform for people to see you. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you do have your TikTok popping and your Instagram, that's just more avenues for people to access your content and come see you live. So
that is true. So I guess I want to pose this question in this now and era. How important is artistic value?
It's very important. I think it's a step that we have to master more of, because I think that embodies knowing your worth and knowing what you represent, knowing your own value and what you mean to your own art form and craft. And I think I just wrote this quote and tweeted it. We have to respect our worth, because people then will follow too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was something down the lines of that, but I'm just saying, like, you have to stand on your worth and your value as an artist. And if you feel you're not getting that reciprocity for that, then that's not for you. Meaning you should be taking your art somewhere else. But people should respect your art for what you do and value that.
That part.
So
I feel that. It's just, I kind of don't respect TikTokers.
No, let me say this. I will say I'm tired of people dancing on TikTok. First of all, it's too addictive. That's the problem. We be on TikTok scrolling. 2 hours been by. But like I said, there are people out there that do a lot of creative stuff, whether that's, you're learning how to cook. I see some dope recipes, certain hacks that I didn't even know. And then there's certain stuff you'd be like, I should have been doing something way more productive than watching this. It's like, why?
I'll never get the time.
Right. But yeah, listen, people want attention, and apparently there's millions of people that love watching and giving people attention. So, hey, You gotta
why not, right?
You gotta use it to your advantage, you know?
That's true. That's true.
You trying to go viral, Tony?
You know what? I can say no.
He had a thought out answer for this already.
No,
you know what? I'm glad you asked me.
You know, because I can't lie, when you know, being Instagram and all that stuff, I did put that pressure.
Okay.
I put a pressure on myself. And maybe this is why, again, a bias is going on, because for a moment, that's how the system out here was starting to work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was like people who I just watch on YouTube all of a sudden is at the Comedy Store, or people I just saw a 5-second clip is on at the Laugh Factory.
Right.
And for me, I came in trying to be a stand-up comic, so naturally I want to be on these stages. Mm-hmm. And then so for me, I was, first of all, how do you go viral? Like when like.
A lot of time on your hands.
I put too much, like,
no kids. No, let me stop. There's some viral people that have kids. I just think you just at a space where you have that time to, you know, invest in balance in nothing but TikTok during the day. Even
then, it's like what I came to realize was being viral is very selective. It's as big as hitting the lottery. Yep. Like, because we're talking about a video, because it's the internet. Mm-hmm. So in order to be viral, you got to hit at least half the country. In terms, right?
You gotta be following everybody on Instagram and TikTok.
Like, dang near. And like, so that was my thing. It was like, why, like the pressure that comes with it, and putting it on other artists, and then seeing it evolve to where it was original content in the beginning. You know,
right?
On
the
it
was.
IGs. A lot of people were really going in on the skits.
Facts.
And that was dope. But then, like within the last 18 months, it slowly became this like B movie voiceover jiggy type.
But I'm gonna tell you what it is.
Type ordeal.
I'm gonna tell you what it is.
I said jiggy.
He did. He definitely did. I think it when you say, you know, I've seen so many YouTubers, TikTokers in the clubs, that's a numbers play. A lot of times these comedy club owners are booking these comedians with hundreds and thousands and 5,000, millions of followers, which is fine. If it's about business, you got to do what you got to do. But as we've seen, they get up there and they just like a deer in the headlights, don't have the material, can't relate and translate that comedy like you do in stand-up. Now, there are some. There's a few. I mean, shout out to my OG.
More too,
oh yeah, we're gonna get back to it because I gotta shout him out.
More to you, my
yes, sir.
This is from Yo Mixtape, Mr. Joe here with thank you all for rocking with the speech guy, Tony Asar, ASAR, coming from the land of sugar free. So you know it's nothing sweet, but everything's nice. And you listening to the Comedy Plug where we got them slappers that bass them ha-has. And of course, I got a homie with me and my guy Joe. Hey, so I gotta kind of get into it, my G. There was recent. You had a little slight misunderstanding with a comic.
Okay,
we can say, right? Or from what I've read, but I'm interested from hearing your perspective on and allowing you to tell your story, your version, and your breakdown. Because I could summarize, but as far as what I'm saying, is it all right for you to tell the people what key them into what I'm speaking on?
Well. In comedy, there are a lot of common parallels in comedy and content. As you know, we live a lot of similar lives.
Yes.
But as dads, we go through experiences, and there's moments where it happens. Things where you've seen throughout history. Now, in this particular, and we're not going to say the name because...
No need.
We already know what it is. And plus, we're being professional. But at the end of the day, it was something that happened. But I would never, I stand on what I believe in always. I would never take anybody's material and push it that is mine. You get what I'm saying? On top of that, I have respect for the game and the energy I put out. So on that front, never done it. Now, you probably asking yourself, well, how did it happen? Comedy, a lot of times, the older generations, they don't want to work for it, and they will take our material. It happens a lot. They don't want to admit it. And a lot of times, it's the first person that gets it on television. Once it gets on television, it doesn't matter.
I'm not gonna lie. There is an unfortunate degree to what you're talking about for listeners or people who may be unfamiliar with this thing. There is a history. Even Dave Chappelle spoke on one of his specials. Comedians hearing jokes from younger comics and then taking it from them, whether they pay for it or not, and using it because again they have that accessibility to television or to
and I didn't mean to cut you off. You could be on the road with an elder comic and not even realize it. That they listening to your stuff and it's like, oh, I'm gonna chop that and take that. So again, yeah, it's happened and it's happened to the best of us. You know what I'm saying? It's happened from Cat Williams, Cedric the Entertainer, Eddie Murphy. You can go down the list. So yeah.
So just to be clear, it was more so a veteran swap. A veteran came, saw you do the thing, and
I mean, I've never been in the same room with this brother. Never, and again, respect him a lot, 100% for what he's accomplished. Because I'm not that type. But when you call somebody out like that, you got to make sure you got your facts straight. You know, you can't just because it's easy for a big name to say something, and the smaller name, you're gonna believe the person that's already performed it. So that's what I'll say to that. But again, it's something that the greats can relate to, you know, and being in that realm of like, okay, so
I feel so, you know, you technically were a victim of the new social media bullying movement, right? Is that fair to address?
I mean, to be honest, first of all, my thing with social media, and this is just not everybody's like this. And first of all, to be a comic, you got to have tough skin. You know that. To be in the realm of things, you got to be able to, we dish it. We got to be able to take it. So to me, social media is not real. In that grand, it doesn't really have it doesn't hold anything over my life. The people that try to, and a lot of it is his fans or people just low barrel comics that ain't doing nothing. So that's the common thing. Let me jump in on that. At the end of the day, I'm on tour. I'm obviously getting booked by the comedy clubs consistently, and not just one night. I'm doing weekends. The same clubs he is in, or other comics that we aspire to be in. So I think that's really what matters. And somebody told me the mainstream really doesn't care about that type of. That's a sadly to say, that's us people worrying about that. You don't see, you know, white comics beefing with each other like that. Or if you do, it's not like to that degree.
Honestly,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Last week we had a guest, or 2 weeks ago we had a guest, Pap Johnson, and I was telling him there's something about us specific,
man.
Like, okay, racism exists, government sets us up, okay, I can agree to all that, but if you X-nay that out, there's a us factor, there is a us problem.
And when he's saying us black folks, yes, the Chitlin circuit, the black rooms, the black comics. I just wanted to be clear, very specific.
You're right. As us, I mean, black comics, black people.
Yeah.
I hate to generalize it, but I am. I'm gonna put it on black people as a whole.
It's a culture, bro.
It's a sickness. I think
you're right. It's not even a culture. It is a sickness. It is.
That we have to we have to tear each other down, and we're quicker to do it than who we saying is doing it.
Oh, of course,
we quicker to do. And
listen, that's social media. If you're not strong in your beliefs and have your relationships intact, you can fold easily.
What was some of the immediate backlash that you felt from this? It was like, all right, I'm gonna have to disconnect.
I mean, I never really disconnect. I don't pay attention to it or allow it to come into my realm. Okay. So, like, of course, I see the notification, but I'm like, come on. I'll lose my mind if I'm sitting here trying to read all these comments. You know what I'm saying? I was in Miami at the time. I was headlining the Miami Improv. Shout out to them. And yeah, it's listen, as a comedian in the limelight we in, I think these things are tests for you, and it helps you as an artist and how you deal with it. Because one, it's not going to be your last time that you're going to come into an incident. And the question is, how are you going to deal with it? Now we tried to do it like grown men, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But then I was trying to get creative and get Showtime. Showtime was in the picture, and we were trying to get, and let's do a comedy boxes. Like, we don't got a box. We could just tell jokes and let the fans. So, like, I was trying to be creative with it and still am being creative with those types of things. But, yeah, it's something that I believe it helped me as a comic to me because it's things are going to happen. How are you going to handle it in this industry? You know what I'm saying? So,
you know what? Yeah. Earlier this week, Beyonce's dad, Mr. Knowles, he had said something like that. You have to prepare for failure. You have to prepare for failure. And I guess, yeah, especially with stand-up, because even when you bomb, I guess, you got to have that joke in the pocket, right?
Or jokes with an S. Shoot.
Yeah.
You better have that revolver loaded.
Depending on the night.
You should always, right? You should have the revolver loaded, just in case you need it, you know?
What are some ways you think we could better unionize?
Well, I think
not unionize, work together.
You know, there are, well, let me say this. There are a lot of the comedy community that does work together. It's not, it's like a 33% of the comedy. It's a lot of haters. It's a lot of envious and jealous comics and producers and jealous of your success. And a lot of times they see you and they figure like, wait, I was on the same level as him at one point. And well, I feel like, so a lot of times is, oh, you weren't doing, I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to be the best version of Joe Hill. I'm not competing with nobody else. And a lot of times, excuse me, we're trying to compete in this business with others and try to, oh, well, I feel like I started with him. I should be. And that's where the stress and, you know, those things creep in, you know?
Do you think, because I have spoken with some comics, you know, that happens to be more so established in other areas.
Right.
You know, you were a dean, you know, I've spoken to some engineers and things like that. Do you think that having a readiness financially before getting into comedy should be considered before? Because everyone takes I just hopped on stage and then hopped into this, but then because of certain situations, you may not be able to grind through the grind the right way. And that's a stressor for jealousy. You know what I mean?
I respect any comic that started off, you know, you hear the stories. I was 16. I moved to New York. I had $3 in my pocket. I stayed on somebody's couch. I respect those stories. My story is not the same. I was a city worker. I was always naturally funny and always a connector and always in the industry of music. It's just comedy was something I had to develop, the content.
Yeah.
I was always had the stage presence from working. Remember, I'm a dean of a high school, so I'm governing. I'm a voice. I'm holding assemblies and you know what I'm saying? Hosting events. So it wasn't hard for me to get up on the stage and tell jokes. It was hard writing and like finding my stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I going to talk about up there? Well, I'm going to talk about being a parent. I'm going to talk about where I work. I'm going to talk about what I like to eat. So once you get a hold of that and you match it with that stage presence, that's a scary sight. And I'm still learning. It's like when you get a special power and you're learning a new ability every other day, you're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. But that takes time, it takes reps, and it takes, putting yourself out there.
True. Since you're a father, would you encourage your kid to take the artistry life hold, or just like, yo, go to college, get your stable job, get your stable career, and then bounce like how I did, and then you can move how you want? Because a lot of times we see, like, even now, like, we see, like, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and this LA, bro, like, doing minimum wage ain't gonna help them out here.
No,
and they be hurting. And I be want to say, poor baby, get a trade.
You have to have a hustle. We say grind, but that word is so, when you look it up, it's to like wear down. It's to wear down. So I would say a hustle, because a hustle is constant. Yes, I think one of the things that makes it easier for me to navigate, because let me just be super transparent. There's gigs where I get a full 4 shows and a hotel, but then I don't have flight. They're not covering my flight. So what do you do?
Rarely do they.
If you're a young comic, you got to scrap shows to get the flight money, and it's a process. For me, I don't have to, because I have a 9 to 5, and I've had a 9 to 5 since I was 14 years old. I've always been working. I've always had money, passive money, or not passive because I ain't a drug dealer. That sounded like a hella passive. But you get what I'm saying? I had a 9 to 5 to be my own personal business loan if I need be. You know what I'm saying? So I can make that happen until I get to a point where they're covering my entire, you know what I'm saying? But that's where the hustle comes in, having that to dip into, you know. But I'm a father too, so, you know, don't get it twisted. I have real responsibility, real live things happen. I have people depending on me. like forget the crowd if they laugh. Like, I need to make sure I'm doing all I can because I'm leaving the house to come do this. So it's a different attitude for me now at this stage because now you have what you want. You have the clubs paying attention to you, so you got to keep it. You can't get that back, you know.
Do you leave the house without any money for it?
Say that again.
Do you leave the house for no money, or do you charge every time?
That's a good question.
Because
I feel yes and no. You know, certain comedians, certain producers, I will do favors for or look out if it makes sense, and if I rocks with you, that's different.
Yeah.
But that's going back to the question we said, respecting our value and knowing our worth.
Yeah.
So you better not even call me and ask for no type of, unless it's like an appearance maybe, or you know what, it's an opportunity. I think you just want to pop in and do a quick 5 show. That's a different conversation, but that's a side conversation. Mm-hmm. Don't try to book me on some for free because, you know, like, don't get me wrong. Like that's, come on.
Yeah, because
you see what I'm doing already. Like I'm not, don't even. So
they see what you're doing, but more importantly, especially in LA, it tends to be a lot of shows, self-produced shows that are charging, but they ain't breaking off no bread.
Talk about it.
I'm just saying, right? Right? And there is artistic value, and a lot of these people are show producers or comics as well. Mm-hmm. So I feel like going forward, like the community kind of needs to make a stand in a way that's not too disruptive,
right?
You know, but also be like, hey man, you just charge how much at the door,
right?
And you got a liquor deal, and there's vendors.
Well, I know some people ain't gonna like this.
There's some money in here.
He's 100% right. It happens to this day. There's shows happening tonight where it's very little pay and it's not a money grab. But I think as an artist, to know the know-withal to even say, hey, excuse me, you're charging this. What is the pay? That is okay to do.
Right.
Like, I know as a younger comic, you're like, damn, I don't want to ask because I got the opportunity. But like, you're the talent. Mm-hmm. You're the one entertaining, making that job of that person way easier because they probably don't tell jokes as good. You have
the artistic value.
So I feel like as comics, knowing the business side and knowing how to navigate and going back to what I said, learning all aspects, like as if you were your own agent, as if you were your own manager, because there's things you need to know how to speak up for yourself respectfully. I'm not saying, yo, where's the money?
Exactly. Nothing that's going to be disruptive.
But hey, appreciate the opportunity. What's the details? Mm-hmm. Oh, the details is the address. No, I mean the pay. Like follow up. Like,
yes.
And if it's not, then I got to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? As a comic, is this going to help my career, or is this, you know, because there's certain comics, producers charging for stage time.
Oh.
When I missed that one. When did we start doing that?
Name.
But I'm saying, like, you got a Venmo or PayPal before I step on this stage. It's already, what I just said to you was hard already. Now you got to turn around and pay for stage? Dang. They ain't gonna like that one.
You talking about the entire open mic scene?
Like it's called the open mic. Why am I paying to perform here?
Why am I paying your rent? Why am I paying this building lease?
But I respect it. It does. Some spots you got to pay for space. So I'm not bashing every spot, but certain situations it's like, I ain't boo-boo the fool now. Come on.
All right.
Or am I?
There's, you're right. There is business. There is business. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing 5 days a week at the same spot, am I the business? Okay.
I better be on
my $5.
I better be on the deed of the building if I'm here 5 days a week.
I think I'm a profit holder, a shareholder.
You are a shareholder.
I'm a shareholder into this establishment.
Whatever street is called, you are the producer of that street. You're a Broadway producer.
Actually, this beer is on me. Thank you.
And stop paying us in drink tickets. I don't even drink like that.
I always question who created this base model of comedy that we all seem to start, because it's not even just LA. It seems it's a base model that applies from here to New York.
Yeah,
it's like you want to get 2 tickets, maybe.
What about the spots that don't even give you tickets?
Oh,
and you got to pay. Just
bro,
stab myself in the foot.
Like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Who is this for?
Yeah. and that's why, like you said, we got to come together and learn the business side, because once you know the business, then you know how to navigate. You know how to ask those questions, because you're like, oh, I've been here. This don't feel right. Let me just make sure. But if you're a newer comic and you don't know that exists, that there is a way, there's etiquette to this. Again, if you're new, you just starting out, that's a different conversation. But if you got a year under your belt, or you've been showing them, and you know you go to a show and you put on, you have every right to speak up for your worth and your value.
All right, I'm gonna ask this: whose responsibility is it to get the crowd to the show?
Great question. It's well, let me say this: the person producing the show, their main goal, you're the point guard. You're producing the flyer, you're booking the talent, you're promoting and getting the folks there. Now, there's certain shows where they call them bringers. You've heard that term. Yeah. Bringer shows exist, or like, producers of book certain comics because they know they have a draw, so that they don't have to really. It's not that you want to under promote or push, but you know that you can count on. Let's say it's like a team. I know I'm gonna get 10 points off the bench from you. I know once you get in the game, you're gonna give me 3 steals. Yeah. I know when you come in fourth quarter, I'm giving you the ball because you ice water in the vein. So like it's run like in analogies of that, knowing what's what. But yeah, I think the game has changed though. So you might not like this either. I think as a comic, you should be promoting yourself. You should be letting people know where you are performing at, because that's going back to what the record label will do, right? That's going back to what, those skills you got to learn. I'm not saying you got to do it hard and bring all your people, but if I'm performing, wouldn't you? Because then other people see you working.
True.
And then it's like, oh, he's here. She's there. Oh, okay. So for me, it's presentation is everything. Market yourself. Now, there's a limit to that, but you get the point.
But who should have the
producer
there?
The producer.
All right. I just put you on and throw you on.
No.
But you're the comic guy I have. But
the producers first.
The thing that
A1.
I'm constantly running. Yep. The producer will be like, where's your 10 people? We'll be like, where's your show? But without further ado, we're going to keep it. I'm just saying. But shout out to everybody that's listening. Shout out to 101.5 FM.
About Swiss, what up?
It's a great community out here in Boyle Heights. Check it. If you want to hear the rest and see more of the show, be sure to check us out over on Pharcyde TV on Sundays, 8 p.m. on Twitch, as well as on Pharcyde TV YouTube at 2 p.m. And you can always hear us on 101.5 at 1 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. But you know what it is, party people. We got to keep it rocking with the slappers. And this one's that Yeet Richmond. Oh, I should have went to the store with a suit on. And what to do, party people? Thank you for rocking with us this entire time. Trust. If you want to find any of the sounds that you heard today, please click the link in the bio over at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Anchor, and all the goods. Shout out to the beautiful community of Boyle Heights. 101.5 FM, where you can hear us every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., as well as Wednesday mornings at 1 a.m. You've been listening to the Comedy Plug, where we play those bars, those bangers, those slappers, and them ha-has. And of course, I bring a homie with me. And Joe, my G, it's been a pleasure having you come through. I know you got the moves. You're currently on tour, no?
Yes, sir.
Oh, tell the people what's the name of the tour. Where do they to see you at and get them tickets?
Cool, man. So follow me everywhere on Instagram and my website. This is Joe Hill. This is joehill.com. The tour is thriving. Somebody's got to hear this. And the title is just, anything you do in life, you keep knocking at it something, you keep doing something consistently, somebody's got to hear it.
That part.
And I've been touring nonstop pre-pandemic, right before it kicked off. So I don't think I'm going to stop. I'm just going to be performing until I die. For real. Like,
hey, that's
but I'm here this week. I'm here for tonight, and then I'm in Minnesota. I'm at the Laugh Camp Comedy Club, a great comedy club in St. Paul, Minnesota. Okay. I'm headlining the weekend. The last week of this month, I'll be in Tucson, Arizona at the Laughs Comedy Cafe. Let me get it right. Beginning of August, I'm with my guy Comedy Swiss and Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento.
Oh.
Then I'm coming to the East Coast, Brooklyn. I see y'all. We coming Jersey, I'm coming to, and then Arlington, Virginia, and what else we got? Arlington, Virginia, and more Jersey in August. So,
man,
I'm moving around.
You're a true globetrotter. What's been the hardest part about tours so far?
Honestly, man, the diet. I've been, I work in real estate during the day, and we have a gym, full-on fitness center. And my favorite quote is, slowly is the fastest way to get anything done in life. Take your time. So every day I've been hitting the gym, the weights, the bench, everything. Slowly, though. Not a crazy hours, just a couple sets a day each time I'm at work before I leave. And honestly, that's been the hardest thing. So now I feel better about making this effort. Listen, people don't know. I just turned 38 July 5th.
Hey, you looking clean in the face. You looking mighty young.
Like, what are you? And the older you get, exactly. The older you get, you have to be more conscious of that. So I'm not saying I got the perfect diet, but I've been making a conscious effort nowadays of actively working out and changing the diet. So I'm trying to be here for a while. I don't want to be sitting in a chair on stage too soon than I need to be. You know what I'm saying? So.
I wholeheartedly feel that, my G. And one more time, where can the people get these tickets and keep up to date with you at?
My website, thisisjoehill.com, all the cities, and we got more coming in the fall. Already, all the dates is up there from now until the end of the year, and more is being added. Thisisjoehill.com, and follow me on IG at thisisjoehill.
Oh, hey, my G. Once again, it's been a pleasure having you come through.
Appreciate you,
being able to tell your stories, be able to drop them gems, because there's a lot going on in the world of comedy and outside. And I think the most important part is having that business mind throughout wherever you grind at, be it the comedy, be it being a dean, whatever you're doing in life, go ahead and get it what it do. But, my G, all right. I got the signal from my producer. Shout out to Lee Waddell.
Shout out to Lee.
And the Maven Content Creation, where you can see her work over at fm.comedyplug. I've been your host, Tony Asar, ASAR. Check me out on IG. And as always, a new episode of Comedy Plug dropping on the streams every Wednesday, 2 p.m. If you want to see the visuals, that's Sundays, 8 p.m. on Pharcyde TV, Wednesdays, 2 p.m. on Pharcyde TV, YouTube, as well as the clips at fm.comedyplug. But without further ado, party people, till next time,